Okay, this is my Baldwin C630, and it's a church organ from many years ago, and I'm going to be upgrading it today with LED lights. The organ itself has it comes with a light built in. It's fluorescent, but you just remove this screw and you can get to it, but it doesn't work all that well. It runs 110 up. In just a second I'll pull it out and show you what that connection looks like. So I went to Amazon and picked up some LED strip tape. This is 16 feet of it. It's only a few bucks. And a 12-volt adapter. This one comes automatically with the correct adapter. So this is only a couple of bucks as well. You can cut the tape so you make it as long as you want it. And then you can add more of these if you're willing to solder. But for this project I won't have to do that. So the existing problems, I didn't really like having 110 power coming, and you'll see underneath that the wire kind of comes up here and then comes in from that side where the switch is. And I'll have to just figure out whether this string is long enough to actually go past the switch. Normally I would come up sort of from this side, and there's a possibility I might drill a new hole. I haven't decided yet whether it's worth it. Having 110 going through this switch right here, I had to add this nut because it was sort of pushed into the organ. Can be a bad thing. So we're going to move it to 12 volts DC and LED lighting, and it should light up our music a little bit brighter and more evenly, not to mention be easier to modify. I'll be doing several modifications of this organ over the next little while, and we'll see how that goes. Well, the best laid plans of mice and men and all those types of things. Turns out the switch that they're using doesn't work for me. It was wired a little bit more in a little more complex way than I think is needed for me. So what I did is I just ripped out all the fluorescent, the bulb and the housing for the bulb. And I left the sort of metal thing, had to screw it off and screw it back on. And then I took my LED strip and I stuck a piece of tape over it, electrical tape, and then just put a staple on top of that and removed all their stuff. And then put it in here and just put a few little strips of electrical tape just to hold it basically in place. It doesn't want to fight it, so it's going to stay there. Now this particular LED strip actually has an adhesive back, but I had already put tape over the end, and I didn't want to mess with it. Plus I don't really trust it, and I wasn't sure it was going to work, so I just thought I'd start with the strips, but it works well enough that I think I'll just leave it. So what I'm going to do is put this cover back in place and put it on the organ. Turns out that the little 12-volt adapter that I had works just fine if you plug it in there and then just run it up here. I might ultimately rig a little something to sort of keep it out of the way so it doesn't get in the way of this when it rolls down. But actually I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem since that thing is in there really firmly. And it reaches plenty far. Now ultimately what I'm going to do, ultimately tomorrow, is I'm going to go to the hardware store and get a replacement switch. That's just a simple sort of on-off switch that looks like this. I'll take it with me, make sure it's the right size. And but I'm going to attach on both ends. I'm going to attach one of these little things, a female and a male, so that I can use or not use the switch. In the meantime, I'm going to put this back together and put it on the organ, and the music light will turn on whenever I turn on the organ. So that'll work fine. I'm actually going to do this hardware thing tomorrow, but just in case they don't have it and I have to wait, whatever, I'm going to put it back on, and let's just test it right now, make sure it works. And here it is installed. It's super easy. I just put the top back on, plugged the adapter into the little tail, and you'll see that it's on, but the organ's not on. So actually the little plug back there is on all the time, whether the organ's on or not. So let's see how this looks without the light on. Yeah, it works. It's actually not as bright as I thought it might be, so I may ultimately change strips or add a brighter strip. I think this is comparable to what was there, but I was hoping for more. I have plenty of this stuff, so I might actually expand it at some point. But that's kind of why I made this build in a way that could be easily expanded. And we'll see what I get done. Anyway, tomorrow I'm going to have to go get a switch because I don't want this thing on all day and all night. So for now, I'm going to unplug it in the back until tomorrow. Okay, so I bought this switch at Home Depot and wired it. The one wire can just pass through the non-charged wire, And then the hot wires I've got connected through the switch. We'll see if this works. It looks like the base of this switch is slightly wider than the hole in the organ, so I might need to drill it out just a little bit. Okay, so I got the Home Depot switch in there. Works good. You got to press it maybe a little bit harder than with the other one. And this is what it looks like on the inside. Let's see. This is what it looks like on the underside. The switch is, so from the original power supply, we take the red one goes up to the switch, and then the red one goes back to the other thing. It can all be easily disassembled, and it's working good. Work complete.